Okay, everybody, welcome. My name is Joanna Mancher, and I am the Student Engagement and Communication Specialist for the Faculty of Arts. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We have a panel of 4 people here to review the Criminology program here within the Faculty of Arts. So today we have with us Wendy Ajla, the Criminology Program Advisor, Dr. Jenna Grekel, Lana Fayed, and Mariska Konik. Dr. Jenna Grekel is the director of the Criminology program, and Lana and Mariska are students, and they are co-presidents of the Undergraduate Student Association here within the Criminology department. So I'm going to turn it over to let them introduce themselves. Go ahead, Wendy.
Thank you, Joanna. So hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Wendy Ajla, and I'm the Program Advisor for Criminology. I'm here to help guide you and support you through your academic program. So if you still have questions after today's session, I strongly encourage you to email me at crim@ualberta.ca so I can help you find the information that you're looking for.
Hi there, I'm Jenna Grekel. I'm director of the CRIM program, and I'm also a professor in the Department of Sociology. My main areas of research are gangs, specifically Indigenous gangs, and recently I've started a project on women who are in prison and some of the challenges they face when they re-enter into the community. I'm also here for you to reach out to if you have any questions about the program. If it has to do with program details, I'll probably send you over to Wendy, but I'm always here to talk to you about our program. So please do be in touch. Thanks.
Hi there, I'm Lana Fayed, and I'm one of the co-presidents of KUSA. I'm in my 3rd year of criminology, and me and my other co-president, Mariska, we're really excited to make your transition as smooth as possible because everything's virtual this year. So if you guys have any questions, we'll leave our information up later, but we're very excited to work with you guys.
Hi, I'm Mariska Konik. I'm the other co-president of KUSA, and I'm also in my 3rd year like Lana. Like she said, we're very excited to help you guys out this year with any questions or concerns you may have going into the virtual online learning situation. And yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know more of you.
Wonderful. Okay, so everybody tuning in this afternoon to the Criminology panel, I'm going to encourage you to go to the bottom of your screen and use the Q&A function. This is how the panel will be able to answer your questions. So go ahead, type things in. Now, if you're also watching and you see questions that you think, yes, I really want that answered, you can upvote that question and it'll rise to the top, and we'll know that that is a really key question that everybody's wanting to get answered. The chat function is disabled for those of you watching, except you can click on the links that Wendy and the other panelists type into the chat. So there'll be links up there for social media, for certain places on the website. Please do follow those links. You'll find lots of really relevant information there. And again, use the Q&A function to type in those questions. Get them in soon, get them in early, and we'll be able to answer them in our 45-minute presentation. All right, Wendy, back to you. And you're muted, Wendy.
I think you were just passing it over to me anyway, weren't you? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to just start with a little bit, very briefly, because I could talk about this for hours, but I'm going to try to be short and to the point. Why would you want to study criminology? And what do we study in criminology? And what can you expect? What kinds of courses can you expect to take? And what kinds of things can you expect to talk about if you were to take our program? Basically, at the core level, we're interested in causes of crime. Why do people commit crime? What makes them do what they do? And importantly, because we're sociologists, we're looking at groups of people. Why do certain groups of people, why do young people commit more crime than adults, as an example? But interestingly, we also are interested in why people don't commit crimes. So the groups of people that we don't see in our statistics on crime or in our prisons or in corrections. So causes of crime, we're definitely interested in looking at why people do what they do, but we're also interested in social responses to crime. We're interested in looking at how the media responds to criminal behavior, how the public responds, how politicians respond, because they, of course, then influence lawmaking. We're also interested in looking at the criminal justice system. So how does it respond to criminal behavior? How do the police work? How do the courts work? How do corrections work? Why do we punish? How do we punish? These are all questions that we're really interested in exploring, and that you, if you take our program, if you're in our courses, you will look at these sorts of things. I want to say importantly, critically important here, is that the way we teach our courses is to provide you with a critical look at these questions and these issues. We want you to think critically about the police, about prisons. We want to talk to you and share with you and explore with you some of the limitations of the way we respond to crime. How can we respond better to these situations, these groups of people and these behaviors? And importantly, we're trying to present you and explore with you an alternative look at the mainstream way of looking at crime and criminal responses to behavior, or our responses to criminal behavior. We want to question our taken for granted realities. We want to show you that things are more complicated than they appear on the surface, that the good guys aren't always good and the bad guys aren't always bad. And so I invite you to take some of our courses and consider applying to our program, because it's really a fascinating discipline. In terms of careers, I think I'm talking a bit too long here, so I'm going to wrap this up. In terms of careers, I mean, you can do anything with a criminology degree. We've listed some of the areas that our students go into post-graduation. So some of our students do go on to law school. Some of them end up working with young people. Some of them end up doing research for government or research with police organizations. Some of them are on the front lines as police officers, as correctional officers, as probation officers. So some of them end up working with not-for-profit agencies as well. So there's just, I mean, the gamut is wide for where you would like to go with your criminology degree. And of course, we're always here to talk to you and talk with you about career plans. So I'm going to wrap up for now. And I look forward to any questions you have about my little ramble.
All right. So just moving on. So I want to talk about the two different streams that we have in the criminology program. So some of you have been admitted to the program and are starting this fall. So I want you to know that you'll be starting off by default as a course-based stream student. In this particular stream, you'll be able to develop critical thinking and research-based skills through coursework. And then you'll have the opportunity to think about different pathways that you might want to take with the course-based stream. So if you've had the opportunity to be on our website, you've probably come across our Criminology Student Handbook. So I'm just going to share with you sort of some of the pathways that we've identified in the course-based stream, which are in the handbook. So as a course-based student, you may choose to take some courses that will help you in terms of law school prep. So you might want to take SOS 321, Youth, Crime and Society in your third year. You might want to take in your fourth year SOS 421, Sociology of Punishment. So you can start taking some courses towards this pathway. And the same could be said for if you're thinking about research and graduate studies after the criminology program. You might want to think about taking SOS 210 and 315. And then think about maybe taking an embedded certificate. So there's a social science research certificate that you could also do as a course-based stream student. We've also got a map in terms of what you could do in your first, second, and third or fourth year. And so you can plan ahead and start thinking about the prerequisites that you might need for some of these courses. In both the course-based and the field placement stream of the program, you do take courses in sociology, but you also take courses in a secondary subject mix area as well. The difference between the two streams is the number of courses that you might be taking as a course-based student in sociology, but also in the secondary subject mix area as well. And then as a field placement student, we've also got a degree map as well in terms of what you could be doing as a field placement student. And we've got a list of our field placement partners as well in the handbook. Just gonna go back to our PowerPoint here. So in the field placement stream, you have the opportunity to apply classroom knowledge in the field. So you'd be out in the community doing 2 field placements, and typically students do their first field placement in their third year and then their their second field placement in their fourth year. There is a separate process in terms of getting into the field placement stream. So once you're in the criminology program, you would be invited to apply to the field placement stream. And we will be providing more information for those of you who are joining us this fall in terms of how you do apply to the field placement stream. But this information is also in the student handbook as well. So again, some of the placements include court administration, the Edmonton Police Service, probation and parole, the Youth Restorative Action Project. You could be placed at the Defense Lawyer's Office as well. So I'm just going to go back to handbook here. So you'll see in the third and fourth years when you take the field placements as well, but you still have the opportunity as a field placement student to look at embedded certificates with your degree as well. So I'd encourage you to do that. As a course-based student, you might want to look at also being involved with the arts work experience. But again, a field placement student could also take an arts work experience program. So the arts work experience opportunities allow you to be involved in co-op opportunities while you're completing your degree. And I do see in the chat box, there is a question about the Canadian Security Intelligence Service. And I know someone's wondering about how they might get involved with CSIS. And that is a placement opportunity that's available through the Arts Work Experience Co-op. It isn't on our placement list just because we don't work with co-ops and you would have to take a work term off. Many of our courses would help you in terms of doing a CSIS placement as well. Just going back. So how do you apply to our program? So some of you might be tuning in and you might not be in the criminology program quite yet, but you're thinking about applying. You can start taking courses towards our program and you can apply directly from high school or a post-secondary transfer student. So you might be an internal transfer student completing a sociology degree and thinking about applying to the criminology program. So admission is based on competitive GPA. And our application deadline is March 1st and applications open October 1st. So if you're thinking about the CRIM program, I would encourage you to also come to open house and to learn more about the program as well. So I'm gonna now turn things over to our two KUSA representatives.
Hi, everyone. So KUSA stands for the Criminology Undergrad Student Association. And it's basically a student group that offers mentorship and guidance to first-year students such as yourselves, I guess. This year it's going to be a little different since everything is online. We're trying to make everything as smooth as possible, just like transitioning everything. So I'm going to leave a link to our Instagram later if you guys want to know about like our upcoming events or anything. For KUSA, our kind of prized possession is our mentorship program. It's basically offering you guys like a safe space, like graduates or like upcoming graduates, like to help you guys out with anything. Our mentors are usually third or fourth years, so they have a lot of experience in your guys' classes. And yeah, we're basically just trying to make this like a big bond between like the undergrads and people that are graduating soon. So I'll leave it off to Mariska.
Yeah, so kind of going off that for events, it's kind of sucks that we can't really do anything fun in person, but we're trying our best to plan some upcoming events here in the fall. We're hoping mid-September to plan kind of more student-led, kind of like this panel here, just another place to come and learn more from the students and questions about classes, a little bit more informal, that type of thing. We'll be posting lots about it on our social media, so once we post that link, be sure to check it out. We'll also be emailing it out to criminology students, so you don't have to worry about looking for it too much, but yeah, that's kind of something we're looking forward to. Another example of this, there's a poster in the slide. We did do a bake sale. Unfortunately, we cannot do that due to the circumstances, but kind of just shows how we can get together and we plan things to kind of benefit everyone. And that example is how we did some fundraising to plan, well, we were hoping to plan more events, but that was of course before everything happened. But yeah, the main point of KUSA is just to kind of create a connection and a group for everyone that's in criminology to be able to come together and learn from each other and grow off of each other. And yeah.
All right. Wendy, are we done with the slides? Should we jump into the questions? Okay, so I am seeing, we got all that. So I'm seeing quite a few questions in the Q&A that, and actually maybe Wendy, if we're done with that, why don't you unshare your screen there? And we've got a few questions that are all related to basically, how do you get into the criminology program? So there are a number of students that are saying, what classes should I take if I'm currently in the BA and I'm majoring in psych, but I'm trying to get into crim? And you know, the plan is to transfer in. Again, there's a student saying sociology is their major, psych as their minor, planning to enter crim. How does this work? So maybe I'll get Wendy just to talk a little bit sort of logistics and timing, and anybody else to pop into.
Keep forgetting to unmute myself. Sorry, guys. So you can take classes in psychology and you can transfer into the criminology program next year. So you'll want to start looking at some of the courses that transfer into our program. So you might want to think about taking Psych 104, 105. Those courses would transfer into our program. You might want to also still think about taking some crim or sociology courses, so SOC 100. Any of the BA requirements, such as your language other than English, or your junior level English course, or your language other than English courses, will transfer in as well.
Yeah, Jenna, did you want to say anything about sort of, you know, the transition of students going from another major or even another faculty and deciding that they want to come in? Like, how does that transition work? And is, you know,
I think it's a fairly smooth transition, and the courses that you take, especially if you're at the U of A, most, if not all of them, Wendy can correct me, are going to apply to your degree. So it really is a smooth transition. Yeah, and I mean, if you really want to see if you're interested in criminology, for sure, you might want to think about taking Sociology 225, which is Introduction to Criminology, or Sociology 224, which is about deviance and conformity. Both of those will give you a really good idea about what's to come in the criminology program. So I might suggest taking that as well. But yeah, I can't really add much more to what Wendy said.
Yeah, so I'll just reiterate that, I mean, not unlike any other BA student, you're able to take classes throughout the Faculty of Arts, and part of deciding what the right fit is exploring all of this. And you know, you might actually be in the, not that I want to knock the crim program, but you might be in the crim program and take a few classes and go, oh, actually this isn't the path for me. But that happens all the time, especially in first and second year, and even later on. So I'll jump in and say, don't be afraid to be open to exploring other subjects, and even to see how they, you know, complement your areas of interest. And kind of that leads really nicely into another one of the questions, which looks like, where did it disappear to? It was about, okay. The overlap between criminology and poli-sci. So, you know, are there, maybe Jana or Wendy, you guys can speak to overlap between political science, but maybe if there's any other departments or areas that are good complements to criminology?
There are a few political science courses on our secondary subject mix that a student would take. So for example, Political Science 327, Aboriginal Peoples and Politics in Canada, would be a really good course to take if you're thinking about the crim program as well. You can still take political science courses and have them as your elective while being a criminology student as well in our program.
Can I just jump in? I think it's important to make clear that when you're in the criminology program, you don't have a minor or a major, right? So you are in the crim program, and then you have a secondary subject mix. So you really can't be in the crim program and then minor in political science or minor in something else. You can certainly take courses, a set number of courses in other areas, but I just wanted to clarify that. Does that make sense, Wendy? Is that worth clarifying, do you think?
Yes, and I think I would just add that the secondary subject mix is not a minor. It allows you to take courses in a wide range of disciplines, so women and gender studies, political science, anthropology, and there are a set number of course credits that you could take in another discipline. So those are things that we would go over with you once you're in the program in terms of program requirements and making sure you don't go over those limits.
So this wasn't quite a question, but I'm going to just follow it up and ask Mariska and Lana to speak if there's any courses that they've taken from this secondary subject area that, you know, outside of Crim. What are some courses that have really excited you and complemented what you're doing in Crim?
I guess I'll go first. I did an abnormal psychology course last semester, and it was honestly one of the most interesting courses. It's not the easiest, but just like the information that you like learn about it, like you learn about like different like mental like illnesses and like how it can like go into like when people like do commit a crime or something. So it's kind of like bringing like two worlds together. That was definitely one of my favorite courses. I'll try finding the exact course number and I'll leave it in the chat because I don't know right now, but I'll leave it off to Mariska for the next one.
Yeah, kind of going off that, some classes like secondary subjects that I really enjoyed are women and gender studies. I think they're so, especially now, the times we're going through right now, they're so relevant to everything going on in the world. And it really just puts, like, it's a class that makes you think and it makes you put everything into a perspective. And it's not even specifically criminology focused. Like, it talks about a bunch of different issues that's going on. And I think that's the nice thing about criminology is that there's so much you can do within the program. Like, it's not just it is a lot, of course, it's criminology focused, but you can do so much with it. Like women and gender studies, I also really like native studies. Like, you learn a lot of great things in those classes. So yeah.
And maybe just to add to that, in our program, it is required that you do a mandatory native studies course as well.
Awesome. That's a great segue because there's a few questions in the chat that are kind of more just nuts and bolts. So Wendy, what is the competitive GPA average for admission? And then 2, are there any mid-year acceptance? So basically someone saying they're on the wait list, do they get accepted mid-year, or what are the timings of when people start the program?
So in terms of competitive GPA average to get into the criminology program, that's based on the applicant pool for that current given year. So it's hard to say at this point what the average might fall at. So I'm unable to really give you an exact GPA in terms of what you should aim for, but I would say aim for competitive GPA. You can still apply again if you don't get in, if you're still in your second or third year as well. And then the other question was being accepted mid-year. So we only take applicants in September, but you would apply to the program starting October 1st, and the deadline is March 1st. Can you become a criminal intelligence analyst through the program? I don't see why not. You'd have to look at what exactly is required in terms of applying for a position outside of just having your degree as well, if anything else is required for that analyst position. But I do have students who go on and are analysts with, for example, Edmonton Police Services. So they've gone through our program. And I should also mention many of the students from our program also do apply to other programs. So if they're not thinking about graduate studies or law school, some of the students have gone on to be social workers, have applied to the business program after. So there's a wide range of things that you could do after if you're thinking about continuing on with your studies as well. You see a question? Sorry.
I was just going to say, let's just clarify. You see this one saying, to clarify, criminology exists outside of the major minor structure. So basically, one thing that I want to reiterate is that the BA is not the only degree that the Faculty of Arts offers. The Faculty of Arts actually offers 10 different degrees, which I know, like, it's kind of one of those things that it's like, what the? Because the majority of students complete a BA with a major. Now, the BA in criminology is actually a whole separate degree. And that's why Wendy and Jenna are talking about the application process and doing that. So it's not the same as any other BA. If there's anything to add, Wendy.
Yeah, it's a specialized program is how I would frame it. And I would also say that if you don't get into the criminology program, that's not to say that you can't still major in sociology and take our courses. You definitely can. And I would encourage you to do that. So even if you applied to the program, you didn't get in this year, let's say, and you are now a BA student majoring in sociology, you can still take Crim 225, for example. I see a question here about how many classes should a first year student do per term. I would encourage you to look at our student handbook. You do not need to maintain a full course load. So if you did decide to take 3 courses, given that the courses are online this term, you can do that. So how many?
And then all I was going to say is, why don't Mariska and Lana talk about sort of how they've balanced have you guys taken 5 classes a term? Have you ever taken less? How do you balance, you know, being involved in KUSA? How do you balance getting involved otherwise? You know, is it good to be involved in other stuff while you're doing your crim degree?
For sure. So my first year, I did a full course load. I did 5 classes each semester. I also didn't go to U of A my first year. I guess I should point that out. This was before high school applicants could go straight into the criminology program. So I did a year at another institute. But I don't know, it really depends like how much you want to take on, how much you think you can take on. I was really ready to just jump right in and do it all. And it is like you have to learn how to balance everything. But once you, it may seem hard at first, but once you get the hang of things, it's easy enough to do. And yeah, just choosing to balance, like, of course, school is important, but you have to balance it with other things. KUSA is a great way to do that, because while we focus on criminology and doing things with criminology, it's also about making connections and making those networks with other people and meeting other people and doing fun things and taking a break from school, that type of thing. So yeah, it's totally like what you feel comfortable doing and how much you want to take on. And if you want, I've had friends who did 4 the first semester, their first year, and then they were like, okay, like I'll take 5 the next semester, and just kind of seeing how much as a person you want to take on and what you want to do. But yeah, I'll let Lana add to that if she's got anything to add.
So yeah, I have a similar story as Mariska. I didn't go to U of A my first year either. I also did a full course load. It's honestly just about like perspective, like how long that you want to take your undergrad. There's no like set number of classes you need to take. I know some people that wish they took 3, you know, just to balance like family, like take care of your own mental health, student groups such as KUSA. So for me, I personally took like full course load. KUSA actually helped me because when I had my mentor, she would check up on me like every other week. Like I would go and like have like little study sessions with her. She already took these courses prior to. So it was kind of like having like a tutor and a friend and like just like combining everything. So I would recommend sitting yourself down and seeing how long that you want to take your undergrad, because there's no set number of like class you need to take. Just as long as you take care of yourself mentally and physically, that's like, I think everyone's main priority.
All right, so Wendy, I'm seeing a bunch of questions in the chat that are related to just sort of nuts and bolts numbers and building schedules. So, well, actually the top question is, do we get to choose where to do our field placement? And then let's jump into requirements.
Sure, and maybe just to clarify first, because I did see a question about getting into the field placement stream. So again, once you're in the criminology program, you will then be invited to apply to the field placement stream. So as a 2nd or 3rd year student, you'd be applying to the field placement stream. You do get to select your field placements. You do get to say what your 1st, 2nd, and 3rd choices are, and then we try and work with you to see where we can place you for your 1st and 2nd field placement.
Okay, and then let's talk, let's see. I'm a 1st year crim student. I'm doing all the necessary English, psych, soc, but I have some unrelated courses like music. Is this normal, or should I be doing only things related to criminology? So anyone want to weigh in?
I could take that one. I think it's fine to take a Music 101 course that could fit as an elective into your program. So if that's something you're interested in, continue with that.
And then let's talk about the non-arts courses. So the program requires 6 non-arts credits. Do Psych 104 and 105 count towards this requirement? And then related, there's another question once you answered about Psych is, what are some other good non-arts courses to take?
Okay, so the Psych 104 course is a science psychology course, so that would fit as a non-arts course. Some other courses that you might want to think about taking as non-arts courses would be courses in human ecology, for example.
Can I weigh in on that one there? I would 100% recommend HECOL 210, Human Ecology 210. That is like the best class. It's intimate relationships, which I know kind of sounds like what? It is such a good class, and it is a class that you will relate to every part of your life, whether or not you're in a relationship or like just your relationships with other people. I would 100% recommend it. Like, it's such a good class.
And you interact in that course so much with your professor, with other students. So I agree with Mariska, yeah.
Perfect.
And then I was in another panel yesterday, and a couple of the students from the, it was a whole student panel, and it was just Ask Me Anything. One of them gave a tip saying, one of the ways you can search for courses, it's kind of seems like a bit of a just throw caution to the wind, but you can do a search in the course catalog for something that fits a time that you're looking for. So if you're like, oh, I really want to take something on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m., you can search that way and just see what pops open. Because the thing is, there are so many classes at the U of A, so it would be almost impossible to go through bare tracks one by one and find courses. So some of it is a little bit, it's talking to people. I'm just gonna suggest getting in touch with KUSA and being like, hey, what are some good non-arts courses? And everybody in that group is gonna have something to offer. Let's see, so we touched on this before, but how many secondary language courses do you need for the program?
You need 2, and you want to make sure that you take them in the same language other than English. So if you take French, you want to make sure both your courses are in French. So don't take one in French and then one in Spanish. So you need 2 language courses.
No, I'm just gonna, maybe Wendy, you can clarify, because I know for the BA, so not BA Crim, but just the general BA, that requirement is waived if students are coming with a 30 level language class from high school. So if you're from Alberta and took grade 12, 30 level French or Spanish, then that's waived. So just double check that. And what I would say is you can check with Wendy, but you can also check with the undergrad student services office, and they'll be able to go over that with you. So we touched on this a little bit before, Wendy, already, but the question is, if we don't get accepted into the competitive stream, so like the placement stream, is there still a way to do field experience or things like that? So if you guys can touch on that a bit.
Absolutely. So if you don't get accepted into the field placement stream, as a course-based student, you could still apply to the Arts Work Experience co-op program. So you'll have to look into what the requirements are, and there'll be more information coming out this fall in terms of how you apply for a co-op program. So you do take off a semester and you're in a co-op related placement. You are paid as an internship, is my understanding of the Arts Work Experience program. So it's something that you could look into. You could also still volunteer with many criminal justice agencies as well in your own time as well, which might allow you to get some work-related experience as well. So I know, for example, YRAP, so the Youth Restorative Action Project, takes on students who do want to volunteer. Maybe Mariska and Lana, you both could maybe comment on some other agencies that might take students as volunteers.
The one that I'm most familiar with, I've been volunteering with them for about like a year and a half, is YRAP. So Mariska, do you know any other ones that would be suitable?
Yeah, so I actually have also been volunteering with YRAP in Edmonton this year, but I have also done the Elizabeth Fry program. I didn't do it in Edmonton, I did it in Red Deer. But that's a really good program if you're kind of wanting to get more into a court type of setting. And it was really good. You really learn a lot there. I guess I could talk about quickly. You're there more as like a helper, like I really don't know how it will work with COVID, if I'm being honest, because when I was there, it was all about talking to people and helping people. So I don't know how it will work now, how it will function, but it's definitely really good because you learn a lot of terms, a lot of how the court system works. So that might be another good one to look into for sure.
If I could just jump in here too, I would suggest if you're interested in experiential learning opportunities to check out courses that have community service learning as a component. So there you get a taste of what it's like to work in the community. So you can, and those courses are across disciplines. So we have sociology courses that have community service learning. You can have history courses or economics or women and gender studies. So that's another good way to get some experiential learning.
And just to add to that, some of the CSL courses fit into our secondary subject area. So if you were interested in doing that, you might want to look at CSL 100, which is being offered in the fall term this year. And I believe the placements are virtually though.
I will add that I know for sure that Arts Work Experience is having an info session, a virtual info session on September 15th, I believe it is. And I know CSL is also planning to have one. The date is TBA. All right, back to the questions. So how many courses will you be able to take in years 3 and 4, or if you are in the field placement stream?
So how many courses will you be able to take? Okay, so when you're in the field placement stream, the field placement courses are 6 credit courses. So each field placement course is 6 credits. So you register in 3 other courses in the same semester while doing your field placement. But if you wanted to only register in 2 courses while taking the field placement course, you would make up those credits during spring summer session, or you could come back for another term. So I just want to point out that in the criminology program, you do not need to maintain a full course load. So if you wanted to take 3 courses per semester, you could. You would just either come back for a semester or take some of these courses in the spring summer session. So I would take this other question, Joanna, here that says, how many SOS courses do you recommend to take in 1 semester in order to graduate in 4 years? You would have to take a full course load, so five courses per term to graduate in 4 years.
But they're not all SOS courses though, right?
Yeah, so no. The degree is 120 credits. And when everybody thinks of university and you think of getting a university degree, it's in and out in 4 years, and it's September through April. But what we're finding, and we're talking to so many students, and like Mariska and Lana have already said, you can take classes in spring and summer. So spring is shortened, it's May and June. Summer is July and August. You can extend your degree and be here for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. And the thing is too, we're finding as more and more students get involved in experiential learning opportunities and volunteer opportunities and part-time jobs, it's lengthening the time that they're taking to do their degree, but they're doing it with purpose and with a very specific mindset, so that it's, they're getting the kinds of experiences and making the kinds of connections that will ultimately help them once they graduate to get jobs or to do the kind of work that they want to do. So that was my little 2 cents there. There's a few questions about, can you take 300 level courses in year 2 or 200 level courses in year 1?
Yes, I would recommend though, if you're a high school student coming into the program, you might want to just take 100 level courses to start and see how you do in those before taking, for example, SOS 225. So maybe put SOS 225 in your second term. And you can take 300 level courses in year 2, but I do recommend waiting to take the 300 level courses in your 3rd year if possible. And that will allow you to just meet some of the other program requirements as well. So taking courses from the secondary subject area as well. So you'll want to watch out for prereqs as well for courses at the higher level. So if you were thinking of taking a 300 level course in another discipline or in SOS, you'll want to make sure that you have the prereqs in year 1 and 2 before you do that. Before we wrap up, I think it would be nice to hear from Lana and Mariska about the mentorship program and how they'll be starting to work on that in September for the students who are in the criminology program. So if one of you wants to maybe explain how that's going to work.
So far, what we're going to do is we're going to be making our own newsletter, and we're going to send it out to all the criminology students. And so there's going to be like a poll: who wants to be a mentor, who wants to be a mentee. Hopefully we'll have everything matched up the first few weeks of September, so then it's like smooth sailing throughout the semester. We're still trying to find out how it's going to work as efficiently, just because it's online and we like that like in-person experience. But we're going to try emailing everyone first week of September, hopefully. And if you guys can get back to us, honestly, the sooner you guys get back to us, the faster we can match you up with a mentor. Yeah, so like 3rd or 4th year students. I'll give it to Mariska to finish it off.
Yeah, I think Lana pretty much covered everything. So yeah, just watch. I know you'll be getting tons of emails the first couple weeks of September, but just look out for the KUSA newsletter. There will be a spot to sign up to be a mentee. We encourage you to do so. And then yeah, your mentor will be contacting you once you're matched up. And then from there, it'll just be, yeah, easy peasy. But yeah, you guys don't really have to worry about like contacting us or being like, I'm trying to find a mentor. Like, we will contact you, we'll set it all up for you, so you don't have to worry about any of that.
And I
think we've got, oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to add, we're already getting messages like on our Instagram. We're gonna leave our email, our Instagram. If you guys have any questions, not even KUSA related, for like your first year like classes, please feel free to let any of us know and we'll help you guys out.
I think we might have time to answer. There's a couple questions in the chat here. So it says, I'm in the CRIM program. I'm wondering if I'm able to take Psych 104 and 105 in the same semester. So the answer is yes. And we talked about this briefly before. Psychology is a department that spans 2 faculties. So when you're looking, please make sure that you know whether or not your psych course is an arts psychology course or if it's a science psychology course, if you're concerned about fitting in those non-arts courses. And unless a course has a prerequisite, there's no restriction on when you can take it. That being said, Wendy already alluded, you might not want to take a 400 level course just because you can in your first semester of your first year. Yeah, there's that. Then about maximum amount of credits. So if you take more credits than are applicable to your degree, you actually have to fill out, there's a process of deciding which ones are extra to your degree. You can decide this, or if you just ignore it and leave it, then somebody else as an advisor will do that for you. What it means is you take all these classes, they still get graded, and you pay tuition money for it, but it doesn't get applied towards your degree. So there's no restriction. I know there's often students that want to take courses because they're super interesting and they actually just don't have room in their schedule anymore. I don't think that's you know, the norm per se, but it does happen on occasion, or sometimes students accidentally go over their junior course allotment and end up having to declare something extra because they weren't paying attention to the requirements. Otherwise, Wendy, any closing comments before we wrap up here?
I would just say to the students that are coming into the program this year, you will be receiving a welcome letter on September 1st. So check your UAlberta account, and the welcome letter will give you some more details about the program and things to expect while coming into the program and what to look forward to in the fall term as well.
Wonderful. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye now.